Okay, so morning, everyone. If you're not interested in the high-level metrics of marketing operations or what we've overall been working on as a department, or this is boring, or you have better things to do, like Darius, I will not take offense if you need to drop off. So go ahead and do so at any point in time. But I'm going to be reviewing all the hard work our marketing departments put into projects that we've completed this quarter, specifically calling attention to where our time was spent, and then also looking at some Q1 year-over-year comparisons from the previous year. Towards the end, I'm going to go over the initiatives that I did review at the end of last quarter, but I'll refresh everybody's memory as to what's in progress. And then if we still have time, I'll preview our marketing library. So first off, I always like to review top level metrics. This is our highest top level categorization. So all of our projects that we work on within marketing fall into one of two categories, either direct revenue or support. So the direct revenue projects are all of the projects that we've identified that are intended to bring revenue into the business and where we like to focus our resources or aim our resources. That's where they really should be going. So for Q1, we completed almost 1,700 projects. 71% of those projects that were completed were revenue generating, which is one of the highest numbers that we've had distribution-wise, probably in the history of of me keeping track of this since 2018. Our goal really is to remain above 65%, so we've well surpassed that. So just looking at the comparison versus Q1 of last year, we completed roughly 350 more projects within the same time period, which wise of projects is about 27% more. So we've seen growth in project volume year over year. Another notable difference is you can see their direct revenue distribution of projects in 2022 was at 62%. We're now at 71%. So in terms of volume, that's a 43% jump in direct revenue projects that we completed year over year. Another way that we like to look at the projects that we do is where are they going? What distribution channels are we hitting? And so 65% of our projects for Q1 were in the print category, 33% were digital, and then 2% were social. And then this is also broken down by the different portfolios too. So here the blue lines indicate the direct revenue projects, and then the gray is the support projects. And then comparing that versus 2022, it's similar distribution here. We do see an uptick year over year in the digital projects. Um, and just notably, too, in terms of quantity of projects, both print and digital grew in terms of project volume. So we know that quantity of projects is just one data point that we want to take into consideration. It doesn't tell the whole story. So we also want to look at where we're spending our time. So looking back or remembering back to what we just talked about in terms of volume, our direct revenue volume of projects was 71%, but we're actually seeing we're spending more of our time here, right? 77% of our time we're actually spending in those direct revenue projects, which is down a little bit from year over year, which I'll get into in a second. But again, like this is a higher number of projects that we're seeing here. And I looked into some of the support projects and why there was an uptick in hours there. Some notable mentions of support projects. We've been spending a lot more time in photo shoots and business cards and our yearbook. So overall, what we're really trying to do is keep this blue piece of the pie as large as we can, just to make sure we're spending time and resources where they're going to make the most impact for the business. So we've looked at the number of projects. We go another layer deeper and we're going to look at distribution channels. So this smaller inner circle here is going to be the each of the distribution channels. So light gray is print, and then we have digital and social. And what we can also see is year over year. Let me go back. We've tracked a lot more hours this year in quarter 1 comparatively to last year. So since we are an in-house marketing agency, um, typically we don't bill our customers or our stakeholders for our time, but we like to keep track of it so we know where it's going. And then we'll get into that a little bit more on the next slide. Oh, two more slides from here. This is back to quantity. So these are the number of projects by product category. So not every single project that we work on here in marketing has a product or brand that's specific to it. But for the projects that do, and we notate that, we do keep track of that. And some of our projects do fall in multiple categories. So they could be restorative and implants, it could be clinical education and digital dentistry. So that's just something to note here. Um, so we don't just want to look at the distribution percentages, right? So it does look like year over year or quarter over quarter, year over year. Some of these distributions have gone down. But if you know me and you know how OCD I am, you will notice that these circles are different sizes, and that's by design because we did finish more projects this year than last. So even though some of these percentage distributions of product categories are smaller, we're still doing more for each of those for most of them, and I'll get into the ones that we aren't in a minute. Um, So really the top for Q1 for this year, implants and restorative and clinical education, they made up the top 3 product categories and over half of the project that we've completed in terms of volume. And then digital dentistry is right there, just not too far behind. And I'll get into hours attributed to each of those in a second. But comparing those year over year, again, completed more projects this year in Q1 than last year, um, with almost every exception increase in category except restorative and corporate identity. So those are the ones that were a little bit lower. But in terms of significant jumps. Clinical education, we've done 85% more projects, not surprising with all the symposia projects that we've been working on. Digital dentistry also had a pretty huge jump, 59% increase, and as well as implants. So they also had their symposium in Q1, and Keith just mentioned the new DTP launch with all the guides. So a lot of that was attributed here in Q1. And then if we're looking at the different hours associated in each of these product category, quarter over quarter, you can also see here, the jump in clinical education projects, but the hours associated with those that we're attributing to those projects. Digital dentistry, our hours and our time spent on those has increased a lot, and also implants. And so this one, let me just explain a little bit real quick. The bars are the number of projects we're completing per month. The light blue wave in the background is our headcount or our full-time equivalents, our FTEs. And then this line right here is our productivity line. And it's really just summarizing the number of projects that we completed, the average employees, and the projects per person per month. You will see, obviously, here the huge dip in projects and the spike in productivity around COVID time. But I'm really just going to take a moment to let you guys take this slide in because I'm so proud of our team right here. We don't really spend a lot of time congratulating ourselves on things. But if you're not amazed by this slide, let me draw a line for you. This right here was March. The number of projects that we completed here, 667 projects. The last time we did that was February of 2020, which was pre-COVID. The next amazing thing that I'm going to point out is where the headcount line is. So here's where we are today, and here we are actually way up here, right? So I guess I should have, oopsies, should have made that as a downward slide, but or a downward line, trend line. But really, we're doing more with less, and I think that's something we should all just take a moment and congratulate ourselves on. Because if you were here during that time, with all the layoffs, this is a huge milestone for us. Doing all of this with less people, about a little over a dozen less people. So more on productivity and headcount. This slide I'm repurposing from the end of last year from Q4. So we track the number of projects a year, number of employees, and then the number of projects each of those as an average each person completes per month. So post 2020, we've managed to improve each year over year on these metrics. And then if we average the same number of projects for Q1 that we did per each quarter, that would land us approximately over 6,000 projects completed for the year. So we'll try, that'll put us, right between 2019 and 2020 in terms of projects completed. For Q1, our employees per month, this is actually full-time equivalent. So it's not necessarily that from Q4 our headcounts increased, but we're working more overtime. And then average number of projects per person per month has also increased. Not surprising considering the number of the record month that we had for completed projects in March. And then just some quick takeaway highlights. These are all positive things because I think we've done just such a great job this year. We've had a 14% increase of projects that we've completed per person month over month compared to the end of last year. We've had 27% more projects completed overall in Q1 of this year compared to Q1 of last year. And then we've also increased the number of, the volume of direct revenue projects quarter one over quarter one year over year, so by 44%. And then for Q1, our direct revenue distribution, the projects that we've completed, 71% of those were direct revenue or revenue generating. And then 96% of all of our projects in Q1 were delivered on time. Again, this is from the end of Q4, just highlighting some of the improvements we're going through this year. So the marketing library, I'm going to demo in a minute. Right now, current state is the logins have been the SSO logins have been completed. So I'm in the process of creating the SOP so I can roll that out to the enterprise. And as most of you are aware, there is, Box is going to be sunsetted at the end of this year. We will be probably switching over to OneDrive. A lot of us have already started putting some things external to marketing anyway on our SharePoint site. So we're looking really to build that out this year and kind of have a centralized place for people to go when they have questions. We'll put a link to the marketing library there, some contacts for our marketing department, SOPs, internal documentations for our own employees within marketing as well. Operatory images is we're still kind of in limbo in terms of where the final place of storage is going to be for that, whether that's going to be Box or SharePoint or Adobe, but we're trying to figure that part out. And then as always, this is probably never going to fall off of the improvements because it is continuous. The costs of the acquisition costs per customer and the ROI, labor hours and compliance. We're always trying to streamline our workflows and our processes here within marketing and, skipping steps where we can and adding them where we need to in case we need additional checkpoints. Let's see. My clicker's not working. There we go. Oh, it's the marketing library anyway. Okay, let me switch gears real quick and I'll give you guys a quick demo of this. Was there any questions so far on that before I pull up our library? No, okay.
It's looking good. Just get more eyes on this.
So this, if you guys are not aware or don't check your emails on Sunday night or Monday morning, Alden painstakingly and with a few help from a few people here in marketing manually assemble the pieces of collateral that we've recently completed or that are going out that week by channel. So that's our print channels, our digital channels. And so those, as you know, are week to week. They're static PDFs, not really search friendly. So over the past, I guess, year, we've been trying to get this marketing library launched. It is live now, and I'll give you guys the URL. I'm just not done with the SOP, but if you guys want to start playing around and giving me any feedback, I'm obviously open and welcome to any of that. So what this is really going to be used for is as projects are being completed here within our department, we've established a workflow to where those are going to be automatically published here for your immediate consumption. So you'll even see some of these before the customers will see them. So you can be prepared, especially customer service, to answer any sort of phone calls. You can look up coupon codes and all of that. And I have a couple of examples here. So if there was a doctor potentially that had a question and you're looking for, they happen to have the piece of collateral in front of them, you might have the job number, right? So you might ask them for that. So you can type that whole thing in or a portion of it. So if you do that in search, it's going to pull up exactly what it is that you need. If you're not sure if something's the latest version, this last part right here, I don't know if you can see it, it might be a little bit small, but this is the date extension on our job number. So if you're not sure how many versions there are, you can always remove it and you can see how many iterations we have. So November, December, and then we did February, March, and April. So you can see all of that. If there is, this could be helpful for shipping as well. If they're trying to figure out maybe a digital coupon code that's come in and they have no context because it's not attached to an RX, you can put the coupon code in here and then you can find the piece of collateral as well. So in here, Sam, I know you're on the call, so here you are in all your glory when it loads. And what you can find over here too is some different pieces of metadata. Essentially what this means is how each of these things are tagged within our system, and all of this is searchable. So from here, you can download it, you can print it, you can, and after you do that, if you need to send it to a customer, you can do that. What another thing that's nice about this is that you can search words within the PDF. It doesn't have to have any of those tags either. So if you know that there was a specific doctor on the piece of collateral, you can even search by the doctor's name. So if Dr. Kaczynski's name appeared anywhere within the text, it's going to pull it up. You'll also see his face here, because more than likely it says his name somewhere within any of our information in Workfront as we were assembling the piece of collateral. If you have a trade show that you're going to or have gone to in the past, want to see what you've done before, want to see what's going, there's also, you can put, whatever the name of the convention is. These are just a few examples. Again, you can search, anything that you need. Even our symposium, right? And if you wanted to come over here to our facets, or you can think of them as filters, if you wanted to know what we did, in a digital channel for the symposium, you can click that. And then you're going to see our emails, you're going to see website updates that appear on here, you're going to see website banners. So it's going to be really easy. Those of you that have access to Workfront that can search there, that's one way to do it. But those of you that don't, this makes it a lot more user friendly to get in there and kind of do that. So yeah, the URL is just marketing.glidewelldental.com, and I can throw that in the chat for anybody who's interested in kind of playing around with it. There are still some things that break in the process on the back end, and not everything might be on there, but just send me a message and we can take care of that for you. If there's something that you need, future state of this, hopefully we can put more of our resources on here for our internal staff to use, if it's like logos or anything like that. We get asked for entity logos and product logos a lot, so potentially this would be a place to store those as well. So it's something I've been working on. We're so close to the finish line, and here's a sneak peek of it. So yeah, hopefully less manual processes moving forward in terms of assembling all of this information. And that's all I have.